I'd like to introduce first off our first speakers, and I have Antoine Jullemier from Bitstack and Bryan Stealey.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session. My name is Antoine, Head of Supply at Bitstack. Very happy to be here after 2 long years back at PGC. And I'm even more happy because I'm sharing the stage today with Bryan Stealey, Chief Marketing Officer at Turborilla. And what we want to do with Bryan is to use the next 19 minutes to bring you guys up to speed about native in-game ads, this hot topic everyone is talking about. And most importantly, we try to answer the question, how to drive an effective in-game advertising strategy. So to that extent, I'm going to just introduce you quickly to Bitstack, but Bryan here will share his own experience and key lessons learned and takeaways so that any developers in that room and online can meet success within that new channel. So Bitstack, we are the leading in-game advertising technology out there. We're a public company. We're 80 staff across 5 offices, but HQ'd in London. And we do ads, but we do it differently. We help developers like Turborilla to deliver real-world premium brands experience into games, but in a way that's, it's seamlessly integrated in the game and it's never interrupting the gameplay. That's something very important. And so when you think about in-game ads, the first format that comes to your mind might be in-game banners, and that's actually our first format. So think about a start line in a racing game, or a hoardings around a stadium in a football game, or maybe a billboard in a cityscape environment. And then we haven't stopped here, and we recently announced another format called in-menu, which is more like a performance-based format. It's been designed to be called on the different UIs or menus of your games before the player actually press play. And still filled by our premium brands, but it offers like much flexibility to our partners because you can call this format basically whatever you want on the screen. And then we have extended our range of products with a more mature one called rewarded videos. And that makes sense because we're only working with big brands. And we think that combining these 3 formats is key to have an effective monetization strategy and to respect users as well in the meantime. And last, all about Bitstack, before I pass the mic to Bryan. We're very proud to be working with some of the leading AAA studio and big mobile studios such as Miniclip, Nordus, Wildlife, of course Turborilla, but then Take-Two, Ubisoft, and all these partners use our tech to drive new revenue, of course, but respect and engage better with the audience and customize content per country as well. That's what we can do with our content management platform. So with that in mind, I'd love Bryan to give us a quick intro about Turborilla.
My name is Bryan Stealey. I am with Turborilla, which is a mobile gaming studio based in northern Sweden. We make action sports games and have been doing so since 2011 when our really cornerstone IP, MadSkills Motocross, was released. And before that, I was with a motocross magazine in the United States, so I've been in action sports for 25 years. We have been delivering in-game ads in our games since the day we launched in 2011. So to say that I believe in this format would be an understatement because I've believed in it from the beginning. Now, fortunately, we have a better support team behind us, and I'm not selling ads and bartering ads myself. I have better things to do with my time, so he comes in.
All right, thank you, Bryan. So, if you look at the monetization gaming market, it's been increasing, it's increasing massively. The pandemic has only accelerated everything, but if you stop and look back, brands have always been kind of disconnected to the gaming world. They may have been clinging to an old stereotypes of the gamer, which was not meeting their customer audience, or maybe they were unaware of any formats beyond interstitial, and I'm sure they were thinking, gaming was too niche for them. And it's true that if you open a game on mobile today, 95% of the ads will be ads for other games. So as a developer, you're actually sending away your users and you're gonna have to spend money to bring them back. It's like a virtual circle. But fortunately, I'll replay a bit this video. Fortunately, we see now like a plethora of new studies that demonstrate that everyone is playing games. On mobile, I think 63% of players are actually women. They're now like leaning on all their media agencies and gaming division to take the leap and jump into gaming, and all the acquisition, M&A, consolidation we're seeing on the market every month is kind of targeting a signal to them to take the leap. Now the good thing is, while they are shifting their budgets toward gaming, these brands are now looking at more immersive experience to offer to their players. So they want, some of them will want to go to the metaverse, some of them will want to create their own games, and some will be looking at innovative supports and formats, and in-game ads is actually one of them. And so I truly think that gaming world is now changing the world of marketing and branding awareness, and this format in particular can offer lots of opportunities for mobile developers, but PC and console as well. And so now I've said that, I'd love Bryan to share a little bit more about his experience, multi-years actually experience in this channel, and how, what's the key lesson learned from that. Thank you, Bryan.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome. So like I said, we've been including in-game ads in our games from the start, and initially we did it by ourselves. We had brands like Red Bull and Suzuki and GoPro, in a lot of ways helped us fund our studio in the early days by selling this advertising in this way. I've also had a couple of other partners before Bidstack for a number of years now, and through that process I've kind of formed a strong opinion about the right way to do this and some of the things that are problematic. So I thought I would just talk about 9 things I've learned. Maybe they'll help you formulate a plan if it's something that you're interested in. Yeah, this quote is just, we really want to be one of the driving studios behind making this format work well. It can work poorly if you're not careful, but it can work really well too. So the first thing is, it's so easy. The integration of this SDK, and honestly all of the SDKs we've worked with, but Bitstack in particular, it's been simple. We've had one person on our team do this for us. It's gone smoothly. Our apps are stable. We haven't had any problems with it at all. And from a day-to-day management perspective, it's also super easy. Basically, we approve ads when campaigns come in. That gives us control over what goes into the game. And we send invoices, and that's it. We're not managing a complicated waterfall. It's oftentimes in our company, we refer to this type of advertising as found money, because it just kind of fit right into what we were already doing and didn't add anything else once we got it integrated. Super simple. And when it's done right, it really enhances gameplay. I make racing games, I make motocross games, and if you go to a motocross race or a BMX race or any kind of action sport or really sporting event, or real world environment for that matter, you see ads all over the place. It's one of the original kinds of advertising, and for some reason it's like the new version in gaming. It's always made so much sense to me, and it really makes our games better. When we have the right brands in our game alongside the track, it makes it feel more authentic for us. You have to be careful, because you can take it the wrong way too, and it can screw it up, but generally speaking, if you do it well.
Would you say that your players like the game even more because we're seeing real world brand in the game right now?
Yeah, some advertising just nails it, right? Some brands nail it, and in that case, it really, really enhances things. Sometimes the advertising is not as, Red Bull fits really, really great into my game.
Yeah.
Pampers diapers fit a little bit differently into our game. So you have to be careful about the types of brands that you allow into your games, but generally speaking, I think it enhances things in players' lives.
Right.
And it doesn't disrupt when it's seamless. It's in the background. It's not asking somebody to go to another game and install it. It's not interrupting an experience. It just kind of happens in the background, and doesn't create any problems for our players, really, ever. Backfill in our game equals opportunity. These guys are direct selling our brands for us. Fill is not what it is on interstitial and rewarded ads. If you're running interstitial or rewarded ads in your game, you're probably used to fill 97, 98%, something like that. I've worked with a lot of partners, and we don't see that type of fill yet in in-game advertising. It's getting way better, but it's just not quite at that level yet. It's got to be built to that.
And so would you say that when we have any fill rate, you can use this placement to show, I don't know, like to do cross promotion with other games or specific challenges?
Yeah. I barter deals to this day with companies in action sports because it adds authenticity to the game and creates marketing partners for me. I give them space in the game, then make sure their people know about it, and this is the way we've saturated motocross. If you went to a motocross race in the world, basically, everybody there knows our game, and we did that by making deals like this with brands. But we also use it to talk about things in the game. If we have new customizables, we use it for that. We've cross-promoted other games with friendly studios before.
Yeah.
We use it to mention new features coming. It's a way that we use to communicate with our players and just be creative with what we have to work with.
Yeah.
But it isn't just billboards. You think of billboards in these real-world environments, but it's also branded gear. In our games, the best customizable piece of gear we've ever had is a Red Bull helmet. I had a long relationship with this company that precedes gaming for me. And we introduced the Red Bull helmet. I don't know if anybody's into action sports, but all of them, whether it's snowboarding or surfing or whatever, if you have a Red Bull sponsorship, that's kind of the top. And to get the helmet, you can't go into a store and buy a Red Bull helmet. You have to earn it. So we implemented this same dynamic into our games where players who achieve a certain level unlocked a Red Bull helmet in the game. And it is without question the single most coveted, customizable we've ever had in any of our games. And it's not close, frankly. Also, there can be things like title sponsorships of series. So, you know, everything I talk about is in reference to action sports because it's what I do. But we have in-game events that are series with round after round tied together. And that's an opportunity for us to sell a title sponsorship to that, just like Monster Energy bought the title sponsorship to the Supercross series in the United States. There's a real-world equivalent that makes it all just so sensible to me. There's just so many different ways that we can do things with brands. And all the brands seem to love creativity. Like, everybody wants to talk about to game teams about what would really work well in their game so they can create a seamless experience. They don't want it to be jarring, you know, they want to fit in well.
Yeah.
Which comes back to that it has to be seamless. Now, I have some experience with native ads not being seamless. In the past, we were in a scenario where our in-game ads were mostly made up of programmatic backfill. And oftentimes, I would see a billboard resizing in view of the players, which creates a completely unrealistic scenario. And the more things like that happen, I think the more injustice we do to the medium, because we're taking away the strength of it. It fits into the environment in such a great way. And when we take players out of that, I think it's a really, really bad idea. So we're very, very protective over the seamlessness of ads in our game. And that takes me to programmatic backfill. I am of the opinion it's not ready when it comes to in-game advertising. You know, we think in interstitials and rewarded ads. Oftentimes it gets backfilled with all sorts of ads that are lower CPM, but it just gives us these amazing fill rates that allows us to maximize. And really, you know, the ads look fine in there. When they don't look fine is when all of a sudden on the track in the background there's an ad that is cropped wrong, or that is fills up 20% of the screen.
That could actually damage the game more than anything else, because we're not going to blame possibly a network behind, but just the game, you know, because on these billboards, it has to be a nice quality ads.
Yeah. So generally speaking, programmatic backfill, I'm open to it, but only if people are programmatically delivering brand ads into the game. That I would be open to, but not install ads that belong on a website that have a button that says install, and all of a sudden it's in the back of my tracker. I'm trying to create a seamless experience, so I just don't believe in that. We've had major brands in our game through these guys. Coca-Cola, you know, Netflix, Disney. These are the types of brands that we're seeing, and I've been absolutely shocked at what the CPMs have looked like for us. You know, my game can generate an extraordinary number of impressions of this type of advertising, just by the nature of the way my game works. And we've had months where the amount of revenue we made has just been kind of mind-boggling. We had one month where we made more money in-game advertising than we made with interstitial and rewarded ads combined by a large margin. That's not every month,
was it? I think you said that was like 32% of
Yeah,
your
over-
revenue,
yeah.
including IAP, were
Yeah.
from in-game ads.
Yeah, we had a month where 30% of our revenue came from in-game ads only, and we have a long-term goal of achieving something like that number on a month-to-month basis. Which brings me to my last point, which is patience and commitment are key. I think if I come into this and I demand from these guys the same type of fill, the same month after month after month of those amazing numbers, it's just not really where this is yet. It's a growing format, and I think we as game developers have a responsibility, just like to our players, and a responsibility to brands who want to advertise, to create a great medium here. And I'm in it for the long haul. If one month is amazing and the next month is down, that's okay, as long as we have a plan and we see things trending in the right direction, and that's what's happening. So those are the biggest takeaways I've had from these years of this type of event.
All right, thank you, Brian. So
Sure.
guys, we have 3 minutes and 20 minutes left. If you have any question for us, now is the time.
I was either thorough or boring. Okay.
You mentioned a couple of times that if it's done wrong, it doesn't
Yeah.
work well. Can you give us some examples of that? How do you, what have you spotted, not with Bitstack, I'm sure, but elsewhere that is not a good example?
Okay, so you go to a website, a regular website, and there's a 300 by 250 medium rectangle ad that's selling chocolates for Valentine's Day, and there's a button on it that says buy right now. And that ad was designed by somebody with the intention of people clicking on it and taking them to a place where they can convert. Well, what if that ad is in the background of a motocross track and the button doesn't even work? I mean, it's in the back. These are not clickable ads. This is like in the environment. What sense does that make? So that's a perfect example. Another is an ad makes it into the game, but you see like 20% of the ad. Like the whole thing got cropped wrong and is in the background. I had that experience more often than I had good brands in the game when we were allowing programmatic backfill into the game. We got to a point where I just forbade it in our games. And when I went to these guys, I said, you know, if you believe in these philosophies that I have, and we will not do programmatic until it's ready, then maybe we're the right partners for each other. That's why I'm with them, because we share the same philosophy. So those are two good examples of how it doesn't work. It's also no good, I think, if it's resizing. It's not seamless.
How do you measure it? How do you show your brands that you know there's growing opportunities or that there's a reward for marketing a game?
Generally speaking, that's probably a better question for Antoine.
Yeah, no. So Bitstack works with a couple of certification for brand safety. We work with Mode, IVT, ComScore, Nielsen, IAB Gold certification as well. And then if you look at the IAB standpoints, they characterize in-game ads as a top funnel channel. Very different from interstitial or rewarded. We're looking at the immediate action behind the ad. And so it's more like, out of monetizing. So they recommend us and the actors to actually combine viewability metrics with post-campaign studies. Just you can, feel like what's the purchase intent, brand recall from all the users. And that's something we've been doing. We have our own patent technology that shows our partners, for how long the ad has been seen, what was the angle, what was the speed as well. But then in addition to that, we do studies with Lumen, for example. So we take a bunch of players and we say, okay, do you remember the brand you've seen? How likely are you now to buy something from that brand? And we saw that on average, the attention to these ads were more than 2% higher than with just like a sticky banners, for example. Because we're all used to this format for years now, we don't really notice them anymore. When it's perfectly blended in the game on a nice billboard with a Burberry ad, for example, we're like, all right, okay, that's something, I'm interested. But then, it's a niche market still, so you don't have a lot of standards. But we're working with the IAB and the MRC as well to bring more of that as the market is evolving. So yeah. Yes, please.
Do you have templates for different genres of games, or do you have to customize it based on each of the game studios that you work with? So for example, I work with a social casino company.
Mm-hmm.
So do you already have examples that we could borrow from, or you'll work with us to suggest us what we need to do?
Yeah, it used to be mainly racing sports game. So I think we have 10 different sports at Bitstack, but we expand into new genres and categories like fashion game, metaverse game, simulation game, and even like puzzle games. That's why we actually we've launched the in-menu ads. So even though that could be complicated to have a billboard on this kind of game, we show you innovative other formats to monetize those untapped placements in your game. But it just needs to make sense, you know. If you have a medieval game and you want to show an ad for Coca-Cola, that may be a bit weird. But as long as you have something that makes sense, then we'll help you to find the right placements that would fit your game and that would please our brand's partner on the other side as well.
Great. Well, I'm going to cut some questions for now. But if you want to speak, sorry, come back up here now.
Come on stage.
Thank you, Antoine.
Thank you.
Brian.
You're welcome.
If you want to grab Antoine or Brian at all to talk about how ads work in Brian's wonderful game and how Bitstack works, please do.
We'll be around all
They're
day
milling around, and
with the
you've got
team.
a stand here, haven't you? So
Yeah.
yeah, so they're available.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
guys.
Thank you.